Level 1, the informant. You are 18 years old. A man buys you a coffee 3 times before he says his real job. He works for the Ministry for State Security. You call it something else in your head. You still don't have a word for it. He asks about your neighbour. He asks about your professor. He writes nothing down. The 4th meeting happens in an apartment with no nameplate on the door. This is a conspirative voting. A safe house. No agency letterhead touches this address. You sign a verpflichtungserklärung, a declaration. Your hand shakes. You pick a random code name. It sticks for the next 30 years. You carry the file open now. You carry a new name for yourself. You carry silence into every room you enter. You carry a list of your own classmates in your skull. Your first assignment is small. Report on the janitor at your building. Report on what he reads. Report on who visits him at night. You choose him. Milky's doctrine prizes access over rank. Tram conductors, nurses, teachers, doorkeepers. People whose jobs put them near everyone. Your first report comes back marked incomplete. Missing names. Missing exact times. You rewrite it twice before your handler accepts it. The janitor is called in for questioning 2 weeks later. You see him afterward. His hands don't stop moving. He says nothing to you. You say nothing to him. This is the job now. Your handler pays you in small ways. Extra travel permits. A better spot in the university queue. Real cash twice a year in an envelope with no bank stamp on it. You almost say no once. Your handler mentions your father's factory transfer request. The request gets approved 3 days later. You understand the message without him repeating it. By year's end, you are one name among 109,000 informants the ministry will eventually claim on paper. You don't know that number yet. Your handler already has a bigger favour to ask. He mentions a school. A different kind of school. Near Potsdam. Level 2, the officer cadet. You are 23 years old. The gate has no sign naming a ministry. Your transcripts list only the Academy of Law, Potsdam. The school opened this year, 1965. An older site nearby trained officers here since 1955. No public directory lists its real function. Your acceptance letter arrives with a file on you already 3 centimetres thick. Your roommate disappears in the night during the 2nd month. No note. No goodbye. A rumour moves through the hallway before breakfast. An uncle in the West flagged late in the vetting. His name comes off the roster before lunch. You study law in the morning. You study Marxism-Leninism after lunch. You study interrogation technique after that. 3 subjects, 1 purpose. Your final exam is a file. You build a case against a fictional teacher accused of hostile speech. You invent witnesses. You invent a timeline. Your instructor grades you on how believable the lie reads on paper. You learn a dead drop behind a loose brick. Eye contact has a limit, exactly as long as feels normal, not longer. A safe house has 1 exit. You never use it twice in a row. Your first mock interrogation fails. Your subject, another cadet acting the part, outlasts your questions for 40 minutes straight. Your palms leave 2 wet marks on the table. Your instructor tells the room your silences gave away more than your words did. 2 failed exercises mean dismissal. You have one already. A service uniform. An Offiziersschule insignia on your shoulder board. A bed that isn't shared with 4 other men anymore. You graduate with a badge in a small plastic case. You repeat an oath from memory word for word. The men in front of you already know it too. Your orders arrive the same afternoon. Report to a Kreisdienststelle, a county office. Your first real file is waiting. Level 3, the case officer. You are 28 years old. Your nameplate reads Lieutenant. Your desk sits inside one of 211 Kreisdienststelle scattered across the country. A county office. No window facing the street. 6 informants answer to you now. You never write their real names next to their code names in the same document. You learn to read a report for what it hides. You learn to read a silence for what it costs. You learn to read a wife's face when she opens the door instead of her husband. You learn which lies need a second source. A 2-week rotation puts you inside Abteilung M. The department opens 90,000 letters a month nationwide. It steams every flap. It reseals everyone before the postman's next round. Your hands learn the exact pressure the iron needs. Too much heat curls the paper. You sign your first wiretap request under Abteilung 26. 1 signature yours, 1 from your supervisor. You log 14 hours of a target's marriage before 1 sentence earns a place in the report. 1 of your 6 stops answering his door. 3 weeks pass with no contact. You mention his wife's job at the textile plant to your supervisor. The transfer notice reaches her desk within the month. Your informant sits at his usual table the following Tuesday. Not every source pays off. Your best-dressed informant files a report on a hostile agent. The agent turns out to be a rival at his factory. The whole story is invented, top to bottom, to settle a grudge. 3 days of surveillance wasted on a lie. Your supervisor marks the file incomplete, your name on the cover. Your network still produces results. A denunciation you forward reaches an arrest inside a week. Your supervisor writes you up for a commendation. Your personnel file moves one drawer closer to the Bezirksverwaltung, the district office in the regional capital. A case above your clearance lands on your desk by mistake. The target has contacts in West Berlin. You're ordered to hand it upward, untouched. Someone at the district office already knows your name before you meet them. Level 4, the surveillance officer. You are 33 years old. Beobachtung is the department name. Physical surveillance. Eyes on a target day and night until his life fits inside a folder. You tail him on foot. You tail him by car, 3 vehicles rotating, no face repeats twice. You tail him into a shop. You buy nothing. You log every stop. Every handshake. Every minute he spends looking at his own reflection in a window. Microphones go to behind picture frames. Microphones go inside lamp bases. Microphones go into a light switch, wired straight into the building's own current, powered for as long as the building stands. 1979 changes the job. Hauptabteilung XX opens a new kind of archive. Not photographs. Not transcripts. Scent. A target sits in an interrogation room. A cloth sits under him, clamped to the chair by a removable frame. 10 minutes pass before anyone asks a question. The cloth comes out afterward, cut into strips, sealed inside a glass jar, labelled GK for Gerichtskonserve. Odour sample. Not every target sits for an interrogation. Some nights call for a different method. You break into an apartment while a family sleeps. You take a piece of underwear from a drawer. You slide a thin tube under a door to draw in a sample of the air itself. The subject never learns anyone was there. A trained dog waits at the depot with the jars. You show it a scrap of cloth from a torn leaflet. It walks the shelf until its nose finds the match. Thousands of jars line that shelf by the decade's end. Your worst night isn't a jar. It's a family asleep upstairs while you move through their kitchen below. You shift a chair 2 inches. You swap a spice tin with the one beside it. You leave a book open to the wrong page. Nothing broken. Nothing missing. Just wrong enough to make him check the locks twice. Then 3 times. He stops trusting his own memory. Your file on him thickens past simple observation. It reads like a diagnosis now. Fears. Habits. Weak points. A supervisor reads it once. He doesn't hand it back. He asks if you're ready to stop watching a man. Ready to start taking him apart. Level 5, the Zersetzung officer. You are 38 years old. Directive 176 sits on your desk, signed by Minister Mielke himself in January of that year. No arrest required. No beating required. Just decomposition. Zersetzung. A life dismantled from the inside, one thread at a time, behind what the directive calls a facade of normality. You don't break a door. You break a marriage. You don't break a bone. You break a mind slow enough that no fracture ever shows on an X-ray. Every target gets a sociogram first. Every target gets a psychogram second. Who they sleep with. What they drink. What they owe. What they've never said out loud about themselves. A weakness isn't incidental to the file. A weakness is the file. Targets include pastors, writers, painters. Also youth groups singing songs the state never approved. A rumour starts at his workplace. Half true. Half invented. Impossible to disprove either half. His promotion disappears the same month, for reasons his supervisor can't quite explain to his face. His wife starts hearing things from a new friend who showed up at exactly the right time. The new friend is yours. The lover appears 8 months later. Divorce papers follow within the year. A pastor breaks under one of your files. He stops sleeping. He stops trusting conversations he's certain he had. A state doctor writes him a diagnosis he never earned. A mental break with no history behind it. A paper trail that will outlive him. He was never touched. He was never arrested. He is finished all the same. By the decade's count, several thousand citizens carry a file like his. Close to 5,000 never recover the person they were before it started. Your results move faster than most. A supervisor 2 ranks up starts asking who trained you. The answer reaches Hauptverwaltungsaufklärung, the Foreign Intelligence Directorate, inside a season. A different war is waiting there. One fought outside the country's own borders. Level 6, the HVA officer. You are 43 years old. Hauptverwaltungsaufklärung. Foreign Intelligence. Marcus Wolf runs this directorate from 1952 to 1986. At its peak, 4,000 agents work West German soil at once. You pick a man who is patient. You pick a man handsome enough to be noticed. Plain enough to be forgotten just as fast. You pick a man willing to spend 2 years on one conversation. Bond still runs short on men. The war never replaced them. Lonely secretaries sit inside ministries, inside NATO offices, holding files no one thinks to guard around them. Your Romeo finds one at a bus stop, at a library counter, at a church function. He is in no hurry. Renate Lutzi works inside the West German Ministry of Defense. She marries her Romeo. The marriage buys 2 more years of documents before West German police arrest them both in their Bonn apartment. Rainer Rupp sits inside NATO headquarters itself, codenamed Topaz, feeding reports back for over a decade before anyone catches him. His own wife, recruited without much resistance, never even needed convincing. Guilt shows up eventually. It always does. One source can't shake it. A Danish priest who hears her confession. He tells her passing secrets east carries no sin at all. The priest is yours too. There was never a church behind him. Every packet crossing back to Berlin travels through a changed net. One link can fail without exposing the next. Then the net tightens. West German counterintelligence starts watching your Romeo too closely for comfort. You give the order the same night. He's gone by morning. No note. No explanation. A woman is left behind. She spent years building a life around a man who was never real. Guillaume's file becomes the standard every officer measures against. He reached the office of Chancellor Willy Brandt himself. His exposure in 1974 brought the government down with him. Your own results start drawing the same comparison. A district post opens up back home. A Bezirksverwaltung needs someone who already knows how to run people without them knowing it. Level 7, the district chief. You are 47 years old. Leiter der Bezirksverwaltung. One of 15 district administrations covering the country end to end. Leipzig alone runs close to 3,800 full-time officers. Near 10,000 informants report there too. Its switchboard taps 600 calls at once without a single line dropping. Dozens of Kreisdienststelle report to your desk now. One signature from you authorises a wiretap. One signature authorises a search. One signature authorises a transfer that ends a career 2 towns over. You never meet the man whose life just changed. Your OIB roster runs deep. Officers under false names. False biographies. Planted inside factory management, the courthouse, the customs post at the rail yard. Nobody beside them at lunch knows what they really are. Some of them barely remember either, most days. A war bunker sits beneath your building. Stocked. Sealed. Built for a war that never arrives. You inspect it twice a year. Radios. Rations. A direct line to Berlin that never once rings for its intended reason. A congregation catches your attention this year. A pastor's youth group, singing songs nobody approved. You sign the order. Members are pulled in one by one. All held together at the Reimhand facility your district maintains for this purpose. One of them holds out for 11 days. Isolation first. No clock. No window. No fellow prisoner in earshot. Questioning comes in waves, time to break sleep before it starts. He signs a confession on the 12th day. The crime was invented before he ever walked in. Berlin calls 2 weeks later. Your numbers this quarter outperform every district but one. A seat is opening at the centre. Inside a Hauptabteilung that never has to explain itself to a district office again. Level 8, the Hauptabteilung chief. You are 51 years old. A general major now, running a main department out of Berlin-Lichtenberg itself. Hauptabteilung XX. Your reach covers the church. Your reach covers the newsroom. Your reach covers every stage, every gallery, every youth club the state never approved. Over E500 informants answer inside this one department alone. Your OIB network stretches past your own walls now. Officers planted inside ministry, state television, the economy itself. All reporting to you. None of their co-workers know it. You approve the security plan for a national sporting event. Foreign delegations get a surveillance file each, prepared weeks before they land. You approve the same for the trade fair, for the church synod, for anything drawing a crowd large enough to hide a problem inside it. Your office sits inside a complex spanning thousands of addresses across the city. Safe houses, workshops, apartments nobody's neighbour ever questions. You have a direct line to a deputy minister who takes your calls before anyone else's that morning. A file crosses your desk for final sign-off. A Zersetzing campaign, years in the running, against a writer who once had a following. The marriage is gone. The publishing contract is gone. The man doesn't leave his apartment most days anymore. You stamp it closed. Successful. A life fully dismantled. The paperwork calls it a win. The minister's office calls you directly this time, not through a deputy. A chair is open near the very top. You already know whose. Level 9, the minister. You are 53 years old. It's 1989. Minister für Staatssicherheit. No one but the party itself. 91,000 full-time officers. At least 189,000 informants. One working year for roughly every 63 citizens in the country. Every morning before 8, a summary of the entire nation lands on your desk. Every evening, a red leather briefcase goes back into your personal safe. A file on the General Secretary himself, kept close in case loyalty ever needs a reminder. Then the crowds start. Then the crowds don't stop. On the 13th of November 1989, you stand before a parliament that used to rubber stamp whatever you said. It doesn't anymore. You reach for a line meant to sound like devotion. Ich liebe euch doch alle. The chamber laughs in your face. 3 weeks later, you're expelled from the party. 4 days after that, you're under arrest. On the 15th of January 1990, tens of thousands of citizens breach the gates at Normannenstrasse while the shredders inside are still running. They find the ash. They find the smoke still hanging in the stairwells. They find shelves of glass jars. Thousands of them. Each one holds a scrap of cloth. Each cloth once carried somebody's scent. In 1993, a court finally convicts you. Not for 32 years spent watching an entire country. For a killing from 1931. Before this ministry existed. Before this uniform existed. Before any of the 9 ranks you climbed had a name. You're released in 1995. Too old. Too sick to hold. You spend what's left of it in a small nursing home in Berlin. Mostly forgotten. One evening near the end, a news broadcast plays from somewhere else entirely. A different flag. A different alphabet. A different ministry swearing in a fresh class of recruits. Young faces. Steady hands. The same trust you carried at 18. Into an apartment with no nameplate on the door. Across from a man who bought you coffee 3 times before he told you what he really did. The cycle continues.